This is KTN News.
The system will not be able to leave anybody behind. It will bring on board everybody so that we do not lose anybody, be they 14-seater capacity people, be they our colleagues operating on a feeder system, be they even border. There will be space for everybody. Be they our drivers and conductors there. This system is going to bring on board everybody.
This system is going to bring on board everybody. Those are attempts by the Ministry of Transport to decongest the CBD. And it's a conversation you're having with Professor Alfred Omenya, who's a scholar, architect and urban planning expert. Sir, thank you for joining us on The Big Story this evening and for staying with us as well. Jamal Ibrahim, who's the chair, Association of Matatu Owners, and Professor, and Christian Mushiri, I beg your pardon, who's the chair, Matatu and Border Operators Federation. Prof, I've listened into the CS and the gentleman who just last spoke, and he says this is a system that will carry along everybody. But at the end of the day, it's not about carrying along everybody. It's about how practical is it. At the end of the day, have we put technicalities in system to ensure that this will work? Has the ministry put some sort of a simulation system on how or whether or not this will work? From where is it?
Thank you once again, Linda. I'm amazed that we try to solve problems that we don't have, while the ones we have we don't solve. We were very happy last year, April, when the minister said that we're going to have the BRT in Kenya. In fact, Kenya is lagging behind. Currently, we're talking about 166 countries with BRT. In Africa alone, we have about 8 countries. South Africa, even our neighbors, Tanzania has BRT, Morocco, Nigeria, and so on. The knowledge about BRT is commonplace. It's been there forever. We know the BRT is a system. We know the basic elements of that system.
Okay.
Number 1 is a dedicated bus lane. Number 2 is the buses themselves. Number 3 are the stations. The BRT stations are in particular locations where passengers can move seamlessly from wherever they're coming from into the buses. And then there's the ticketing system. You don't expect to get your ticket, inside the bus and so on. These are tickets you get offhand. And these are the basics that we expected the ministry, in fact, to have sorted out by April last year when they were talking to us. And I'll quote my colleague Jamal here. All that the ministry did was to apply lipstick on Thika Road, and then appear after almost 1 year and say we shall have hawkers in Nairobi as a transport solution. I think what would be respectful to Kenyans or to people of sound mind would be for the minister and their team to systematically work through these elements of the BRT. Yes, they started by saying this will be the lane on Thika Road, on the pilot. Of course, I know the BRT cannot work on the rest of the roads that was said in Nairobi because they're too narrow. The second bit would be to say, okay, fine, how do we provide the basic infrastructure? How do we get the stations? How do we get the bus parking so that it is in line with the entrance level of the bus, so that everybody can actually access that? And then, of course, we start saying, how then do we have the system for managing both the payments and the passengers themselves? And then, of course, later on, we'll be looking at how this system then gets integrated with the other systems. How do I transit from Matatu to the BRT? How do I transit from the rail system into the BRT? And how do I leave the BRT into the other, the normal urban transport? And mind you, even on Thika Road, you are still talking about other accesses. The BRT is not one road. You don't get one road and then put buses there and say you have a BRT. You just have normal buses on a dedicated bus lane, really. So the minister should actually be telling us how how they plan to get this system work. It is a known system, like I've said. You can simulate traffic.
Okay.
I don't even understand why we still use these dark ages things of experiments. We can actually simulate this properly and see how it functions. But we must start by having the basic BRT infrastructure in place.
Okay.
We don't have it.
Prof, listen, there's a concern that I did mention, that not enough information is coming out from the CS. So being an expert in this field, what are the key information that the CS should be giving us now with respect to BRT?
Exactly. In fact, I think what the CS should actually be telling us is their own preparation, their own studies to say, okay, fine, we're doing a pilot. This is how we'll be doing the pilot. These are the roads where the pilots will actually happen. Number two, this is the basic infrastructure that we'll be having in place, and by when, and who's contracted to do this basic infrastructure. This is the management system that we'll be having in place, passenger management system, from ticketing all the way to the movement of passengers, and telling us this is how we are thinking of rolling it out, all the way to the ownership, the investors. You are telling us that there'll be space for everybody. How? We should be told that, yes, I mean, this is exactly how you can invest in this BRT system. All we're being told is 64 buses are coming in. Whose buses are they? We're being told, Isuzu and other international franchises operating in Kenya would do this. The basic information that we're meant to be getting as the public to understand the design of this new public transport system the government is having, and the implication on the day-to-day lives of people, including potential disruptions, which must always happen when you're transiting from one system to another.
Okay.
We need basic information. This basic information is not coming through. The system has been designed. Can the minister explain to us the system? Can he explain to us the physical infrastructure? Can he explain to us the management? Can he explain to us the investment models?
Okay.
Can he explain to us why on earth we are importing vehicles from South Africa when we can assemble them? Can he explain to us what my colleagues here, the space they will have as investors? You cannot just tell us there'll be everybody in there. That's a lie. That's a big fat lie.
To be fair, the CS tried to explain the reasons why we cannot assemble these cars here. He gave it as part of his explanation today in the afternoon. Jimal, so having listened in to the prof, is there anything that you think can be improved in terms of communication and planning, how this BRT will come into place, and how to essentially decongest the city without inconveniencing thousands of Nairobians?
Thank you, Linda, once more. And I think in terms of the BRT issue, I think I can defend a little bit the CS Macharia, because we have been going for these classes, and we have been trying to look at we have been trying to check on every angle on how BRT will benefit our people in Nairobi. And I think about this issue of 64 buses that people are talking about, it is not the main BRT that we are talking about. The 64 buses that CS was talking about was issue ya decongest CBD, ndani ya CBD. For example, kutoka Mudhurwa to Railways, to Koja, to Fig Tree, and Mudhurwa. The 64 buses, I think it will apply at X angle. That's the way we were being taught. And at the same time, as you're speaking about the 64 buses that people are talking about, it's not coming to benefit any of our stakeholders. And let me just tell my friends here is that BRT system is non-profitable at this time. What we are doing at Apex body is that we are being given mandates to manage the BRT system. But BRT system is not going to come this month or next month but one. For the 64 buses is to decongest Nairobi, and I think we got the hiccup last month when our governor told us to move out of the city center. And people are really complaining. Some have cancer, some are pregnant, some are being robbed. So they decided to bring the 64 buses.
Jimal?
Yes.
I think you're being economical with the truth, because those buses, the whole BRT system, it's an entire system. And I had the CS today saying The buses will get here, and they'll also try and get the DMUs. It's part of an entire system. So when you say it's not part of BRT, it's the whole process.
One thing I can tell you is that we cannot take 64 buses to do the pilot project of the whole procedure of Thika Road, Mombasa Road, Ngong Road. And I think, Linda, once more I can tell you is that the 64 buses is to help us to commute inside the CBD. It's unimaginable when we say that the 64 buses will come to work on the Thika Road, Ngong Road, and Mombasa Road. It's unimaginable because I think we need so much to be done in terms of infrastructure.
Okay.
And we need at least time to make our people to learn what is BRT, because many people don't understand BRT. Even in South Africa, we have been taught that they did more of advertising and giving information to the community than even bring the BRT buses.
Okay. Kushan, you get the final word before I wrap this show up.
I'd like to say that this whole thing is just a scam. Because we have, as you said, we already have those buses that have been built here. But for some reason, some people did not want them. Number two, I don't see why we need to buy 64 buses and another 900 more while the existing buses do not even have passengers. They are being auctioned every day because of lack of these passengers. Everywhere you go, our buses are queuing, waiting for passengers. So one of the things that the CS Macharia did by saying a car-free day, maybe he was trying to do something on the positive side, but that is not the right way. You don't just tell people you won't use your car. You can make it expensive, like other developed countries have done it. This BRT thing is just, okay, we would like to embrace it, but let them start with the infrastructure. Number two, why do we have to do it if it's not necessary? The local capacity can do the job that they are supposed to do. These buses will not come with the drivers from heaven. It is the same drivers we have here in Kenya that will drive them. The same conductors that we have in Kenya that will be doing all the job that they are required to do. So let's not take this BRT issue as if it will change the mannerisms of our drivers and conductors. This is a societal issue that is to be discussed by the stakeholders together with the government so that we can regulate if there is indiscipline. So let people stop using this as a scapegoat. We need BRT so that they can make some few money, some little cash from it.
30 seconds.
Because already we have these buses that were made in Kenya. So there's no reason for telling me you have to buy them from elsewhere when we can have them here. And I believe the experts we have here, they only needed to be told, this is the sample we want. Do you have to ship it to Kenya?
I did listen to the CS again, and he did talk about the specifications of the specific cars they're looking for. So finally, I need to wrap this up in 30 seconds actually. Question, if the infrastructure is put in place and everything addressed, would you now welcome this idea, yes or no?
If the infrastructure is done, we shall embrace this, the BRT system.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being part of the big story this evening. Jamal Ibrahim, who's the chair, Association of Matatu Owners. We also had Kushed Mushiri, who's the chair, Matatu and Border Operators Federation. And we also had Professor Alfred Omenya, who's a scholar architect and urban planning expert, who at the beginning of this show used very unkind words